When the Twin Towers were attacked on September 11, 2001, students had just started their day at the prestigious Stuyvesant High School in New York City, just blocks from the World Trade Center. A new documentary, In the Shadow of the Towers, Stuyvesant High on 9/11, revisits the events of that fateful day through conversations with 8 Stuyvesant alumni who lived through the attack and whose lives were forever changed by it. Take a look.
I was a senior at Stuyvesant High School.
It was, I think, our second or third day.
And I was staring out the window when I saw an explosion.
I saw the crash of the plane into the North Tower.
I was 15 at the time.
And I called my father, and this is something I'll remember to this day. My dad said to me, please, please, just survive.
Here with more is Stuyvesant alumni Ilya Feldcherov and the film's director, Amy Schatz. Welcome to you both to the show.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
So first, of course, with a film like this, it's a story that we know happened. We all know Stuyvesant High was that close to the attacks on 9/11, and yet people who weren't in the high school seem to have forgotten that story. So why this film, and why 18 years later?
This film came about by accident, really. We were making a children's show about 9/11, and I thought it would be interesting to interview the alumni who were kids at the time. I thought that would be interesting for a children's show. What eventually happened is that once I started interviewing these alumni, it became clear that in asking them about their memories, about what happened that day, what they saw, that it really wasn't material for a children's show, that there was a very powerful film in their stories that could be for teens and adults and an older audience. So that's the origin of it.
So, Ilya, I was just wondering if you can take us into, first of all, just the experience of having to revisit that day.
I think being interviewed for the documentary was actually the first time I unpacked at such length what I remembered about that day. I'm not sure I've ever talked to my parents or my close friends really at length about what it was like, what it felt. And every time it comes up, I think, you know, I was there on 9/11, I was a few blocks away, and I opened that box a little bit, and I get some of the things out, and yes, I was there, and it was tough, and it was surreal, and we walked north, and then I kind of just closed that box up. And I think this is the first time that we really was introspective, what I remembered and what we felt, in a way that I don't think in, 16 or 17 years, however long it was, until a documentary, that never thought about it at such length or talked about it. And it's difficult to talk about it, and also it's very difficult to watch a documentary when everyone's stories are here's just our experience, our microcosm from that day pieced together. It really takes me back, all the photographs and the old footage in a way that I'm not sure I can put into words, how I just feel sort of like
That's completely
viscerally,
understandable, yeah.
But it just like this feeling of like somewhat dread, but also dread at a very distant time, but also not that long ago.
Right.
Combination of feelings.
Well, one of the things I also thought was so interesting was that the film sort of follows how you guys felt about the aftermath of 9/11. And again, being such a prestigious high school, and this being New York City, Stuyvesant High was also a very brown school, and you deal with that in the film.
Yeah. Well, what was shocking really in the stories is as early as the evacuation from school, some racism was percolating, and it was almost immediate, right? That there was. It seemed like in the stories of some of the, in some of the interviews that during the evacuation, this sense of kind of fear and violence emerged, right? And we didn't set out to make the film, which is about the aftermath and the Muslim backlash and all of these themes of, what it means to be an American, but it was in the telling of many of these people's stories that, you heard about on 9/11, something changed for the kids of color, and that their world had changed forever on that day. And that was, to me, like just completely stunning to hear this.
I believe there's a section of the film where, as you guys are walking up the West Side Highway, you mentioned like just seeing other students of non-white descent. I don't know how else to describe it, but seeing them and saying, come walk with us, come, so that you're not alone right now. I'm wondering, in the years afterwards, you say that you all have your own feelings about it, but is there anything about the aftermath that stuck with you, that stuck out?
So actually, until the documentary, I didn't realize just how immediate and ugly the backlash was against students of color. I knew it on like a broad scale. Like I read about it, I knew it was happening, and I just don't think I fully processed how bad it was for people that here in New York, a very diverse, a very progressive city, just the ugly side of human nature coming out. And I'm not sure I fully understood that until I watched the documentary and saw everyone's stories come together.
Very quickly before the end, I do want to ask, where do you want this film to fit within the larger 9/11 narrative? Because so much of it is, of course, and rightfully so, about the first responders, the people who perished that day. But where do you want this narrative to fit within the larger one?
It's a story about what it was like to be a young person at Ground Zero, which is not something that we hear frequently about. And it's also about the experience of young people who are first-generation Americans, second-generation Americans, and how they both suffered during this time in the years after 9/11, but also how they came together. So I think there's something really powerful about young people, like thinking about young people going through traumatic, horrible experiences and how deeply they're both traumatized and how they attempt to recover. So there's something about that this film speaks to. And I don't know, do you have anything to add to that?
I think the timing actually is really interesting, that it's 18 years. It's not like 15 or 20 years.
Yeah.
Right.
And this is, I think, it's going to be the first year, or maybe after this year, there aren't going to be any students at Stuyvesant who were alive, who had been born already
Wow.
on 9/11. And if you were born afterwards, you don't know that there was a pre-9/11 world and there was a post-9/11 world, and that it affects people in these very minute ways. And so I think it's good for children, for students to see that story, to be able to connect with it.
And of course, the film has a wonderful theme of resiliency for the end. So it's not just, the trauma and the, sort of doom and gloom of that day, but there is a sense of resiliency. Listen, I want to thank you both so much for joining us on the program. Thank you for sharing your story, as well as the rest of your classmates from, what graduating year was that?
2002.
2002. Yeah. Thank you to the class of 2002 for sharing your stories, and thank you so much for this film.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. In the Shadow of the Towers, Stuyvesant High on 9/11 airs tonight at 9 p.m. on HBO.